because I had never bought one of the shirts from that place before. Oh, what's the website again?
Was it TeePublic or TeeFury? One of them.
It's probably TeePublic. See if I can find it. But I remember like the shirts of the day were a Yakuza shirt and a Gitaru Man shirt, and I'm like, what the is it my birthday? I've never seen Gitaru Man merchandise anywhere.
It's your secret birthday.
So I went and I just bought both straight up, and I had never bought something from them before.
Oh, nice. Hello and welcome to episode 112 of Rhythm Encounter, the RPG fan music podcast. I'm Hilary Andreff. I'm hosting again today, and joining me today I have two lovely panelists, Michael Sollosi.
Hey, yeah, maybe you've heard me on podcasts before. I'm Mike Sollosi, and I'm here to get funky.
Yay! And Gio Castillo.
Hey, I'm here to jazz it up.
All right, and as you may have guessed, our topic today is jazz and funk. There have been a lot of remixes in this vein for RPG music, and we haven't really had an episode like this, and I think it's safe to say all of us appreciate those genres of music, so we're here to enjoy and listen. Jazz and funk encompasses a surprising range of styles, so I think the assortment of songs that we picked shows that. You'll hear some slight gospel jazz to more smooth jazz to several flavors of funk. So very excited. But let's start by talking about what drew us to the episode. So let's start with you, Gio.
Yeah, so I tend to like jazz arrangements in games. I mean, in real life, like I'm pretty familiar-ish with jazz because my dad actually listens to a lot of jazz, so like I kind of grew up with an ear for it. So my ears always perk up when I hear jazz in video games, and especially and like even like arrangements of jazz songs, of jazz arrangements of songs from RPGs. It's always a good time. Like every time I don't think I've ever really like disliked the jazz arrangement of anything. It's just because jazz is so like freeform, and it allows a lot of creative expression. So like I find like I always like enjoy even a little bit of pretty much any jazz arrangement I've heard, and like yeah, it's just that's what I like about jazz. Like it allows for like a wide array of like a range of sound, I guess.
All right. I think I have something that kind of dovetails off of that, so I think I'm going to go next if that's okay. Excited to have you. I also learned a lot about jazz from my dad. His father was an exec in a record label, just kind of like a regional sales exec. So my dad grew up with a lot of music, and he taught me a lot about jazz at a young age. I was like asking my elementary music teacher about Dizzy Gillespie. So I've been listening to it for a while, have an appreciation for it, and I've reviewed it for the site. Typically, like when we've done Music of the Year and a couple other reviews and things like that for music, I tend to gravitate toward the jazz arrangements of RPGs. So I'm excited to be here. I also think that because of the improvisation and kind of some of the range of styles and range of instruments that you can have sometimes, you know, we've got big band and different ensembles that you can have with jazz, and just obviously lots of room to emphasize and have the musicians work off of each other. It's just always really, really interesting to listen to. So that's kind of my story. How about you, Sollosi?
Well, I guess someone has to represent the funk end of the spectrum. I didn't grow up listening to a lot of jazz or funk necessarily. But I did grow up playing the piano and eventually learned drums and percussion. So, like, music has been a part of my life since I was very, very small. But when I started broadening my musical horizons, especially just being in band class and marching band throughout school, through the first couple of years of university, funk was something that I really was drawn to. It's and funk isn't a genre either, I think. But I think when I think of funk, I think of syncopated rhythms, danceable music, music with a lot of prominent drums and bass that gets your body moving. Growing up near Washington D.C., I'm familiar with a lot of go-go music, which is sort of a local version of funk rock. But technically, like pop, rock, disco, jazz, big band, all of that can have funk if you can sort of hear the bass and drums in a certain way and find it a little danceable. And jazz, I don't think jazz as sort of dance music the way most funk is, but it's definitely that controlled chaos, that improvisational element that Hilary mentioned, definitely syncopated rhythms. But like a jazz bass is not the same as a funk bass. Jazz drums is not necessarily the same as funk drums, but I think there's a unification of syncopated rhythms and sort of a fun chaos that can manifest itself in many different ways. And so like jazz is something I won't necessarily say I seek out a lot of jazz arrangements or jazz music, but the like good jazz is undeniably awesome because you can feel the virtuosity of the performers and the freedom with which they're expressing themselves through music. And so I feel like jazz is sort of a free form open expression, and funk is a like feel the beat, get your body moving kind of idea, but they're connected in just in just let I can't say why they're connected, but I feel why they're connected.
Yeah, there's a bit of a through line there. And I think you hit on it with a little bit with like the syncopated rhythms and a little bit of just kind of like the spontaneity sometimes with it. All right, excellent. So today, since we have 3 panelists, each of us has picked 3 songs. So that'll give us even a little bit more of an opportunity to explore jazz and funk. So we're ready to get into it and start listening to some music?
Let's do it.
All right, so Gio, you have our first pick.
The first song I'm bringing is a jazz arrangement of Tifa's theme from Final Fantasy VII from the album, makes sense. It's called Square Enix Jazz Final Fantasy VII. And I think you might have heard it from Final Fantasy VII Remake. It's in the jukebox in the game. So, and it's probably, I think it's the first one the first song you can find for the jukebox. So yeah, you can't miss it. And then the second song that I'm bringing is Glass in One Hand from Last Window, The Secret of Cape West. That's an old Nintendo DS game. And I hope you enjoy.
All right, thanks. Let's go listen.
yeah, I guess what can I say? Like, I noticed that you actually reviewed this album, Hilary. Like, it's like I didn't realize it actually. Like, the album actually came out around the same time as like Final Fantasy VII Remake,
Yeah, it did.
and yeah, and so a whole bunch of these songs also came out in the game, which is really cool. And I think this is like, this is definitely, I've listened to the whole album. Like, this is definitely like my favorite one. And I think a huge part of that is like the improvisation moments, like in this game, in this song, because like Tifa's theme isn't really noteworthy on its own to me. Like, it's a nice song, but I actually don't come back to it like the normal version often, but I come back to this one like all the time because of towards the middle, they start to play around with the melody, and it's like really it's really pleasant to say the least. Like, it's just endlessly listenable for me. It's like it's one of those songs that I just play anywhere. It's when the saxophone comes in, and the way I think it's a really gentle arrangement. It amplifies the gentle tone of Tifa, the original theme, very well, and it's just definitely my favorite version of Tifa's theme. That's all I'll say, I think.
But yeah, one of the things I mentioned and kind of liked about this album versus some of the other Square Enix jazz arrangements is the fact that it was, I think, a smaller ensemble and a little bit more like brass and piano versus some other instruments than the other albums. And I think they use that to really good effect in this arrangement, like the way they build the melody transfer from the piano to the brass to build the intensity, and just the way, Tifa's theme has some very kind of simple but calm and pretty snatches of melody, and I think they use that, and the way they repeat it kind of makes it a little bit more interesting while still maintaining that kind of peaceful tone. And yeah, definitely the improvisation. I think I have parts in my notes where they come in with some really high notes toward the middle to start some of that improv, and then they have a really minimalist section at about 3:30, and so it's just, I think that's one of the other things that makes it really fun to listen to, is the way they play around with the instrumentation and having that very minimalist section in the middle. And it's just a pretty polished, nice version of the song. I enjoyed it a lot too.
Yeah. And I think another thing I like is like, one thing I didn't mention is like how it builds up over time, like gently, like they introduce more instrumentation, like the beat kind of shifts around a bit, and yeah, the high notes that they introduce midway through, it's just I don't know, it feels so slick to me. It's just a slickly done song, like it's very obviously composed by masters of what they do.
Yeah, this is a kind of jazz ensemble that I really I don't know if identify with is the right term, but I really appreciate. It's not a full orchestra, and it's not really like a 4-piece rock band either. It's just it's probably fewer than a dozen musicians.
Correct.
That has brass, woodwinds, drums, and piano and bass, with like each. There's sort of a taking turns vibe to this one,
Mm-hmm.
that like that they're playing together and sort of establishing what the tone of the song is, but then they're taking turns with solos and improvised segments, and even parts where the drums and bass are more prominent. But you can just tell that these are skilled performers that are still living within Tifa's theme, but playing with it. And in a way that makes it feel like both it's a very cozy song, and that song, and that adjective cozy is probably overused nowadays in a lot of different contexts, but it's still this warm feeling song, but the way each musician plays around with it is both very fun without betraying the nature of the song. And this is the first time I've heard this particular arrangement, but it's really, really good. I liked it a lot.
Oh, I just want to like, sorry, I want to like respond to Sollosi. Like, I noticed that too. Like the taking turns. Like it's like there's like a call and response going on in the song.
I think that's something in jazz and funk,
Mhm.
especially in, like, I mean, I mentioned it before, but there is a call and response, like the in certain kinds of funk music, like in go-go, like the MC or the band leader plays off their own musicians, but also plays off their audience in a way that in a way that, I don't know, is somewhat unique to funk. But we're still in jazz world right now, so I'll save that for later.
But it's definitely prominent and noticeable in both to some degree. Just the kind of like taking turns playing back and forth, responding to each other.
Oh, I see. Yeah, it's nice that we're like connecting jazz and funk. You know, two genres that don't like on their face fit together cleanly, but there's like some similarities between the two.
Definitely. All right. Are we ready to talk about glass in one hand? Are we ready to get our drinks?
Yeah, I'm ready. I don't have too much to say about this one other than basically I just love the vibe. Like I love the vibe. Like I love this game, Last Window, The Secret of Cape West. Like I don't know if you guys have played Hotel Dusk.
Yep. Oh, I'm familiar with Kyle Hyde and Hotel Dusk.
Oh, good.
And I knew it had a sequel. That was released, I think, in Europe, but not North America. So if you dip your toe into the riskier parts of the internet, you can find a way to play Last Window on a machine that you own. But but basically there's already a full English translation, but it never released in North America, which is why I haven't played it. But Hotel Dusk is great, and this song is great.
I got lucky. I tracked down. Did you know that like I have an Italian copy of this game, and it actually has English on it on the cart. So
yeah, a lot of Euro releases have multi-language versions. Yeah.
Yeah. So I got to play it, and yeah, it's magical. Like I really love this. I love those two games. Like I just love what they represent. Like they're noir-ish. Like yeah, I love that the developers sing. Like I'm sad that they went away, but like their legacy is like quite incredible. I think like these moody point and click adventure games, and the Hotel Dusk series, Hotel Dusk and Last Window, have this very very understated jazz noir-ish soundtrack. This is like one of the more upbeat songs in the soundtrack. It's I think if I remember it, this song plays when Kyle literally has a drink at the bar.
That's actually a semi-prominent moment in Hotel Dusk when he's when Kyle is meeting the other hotel guests for the first time. He makes it very clear that he enjoys a glass of bourbon, and I remember one middle-aged woman he's talking to even says, "Oh, I found a man that enjoys bourbon." And Hilary, I think you and I were on the on the accompanying drinks episode of Rhythm Encounter.
Yes, we were.
A year, or maybe a bit over a year ago, and I think this song would have fit in with that episode, because this song does make you feel like you're walking into a smoky bar.
Absolutely, it has a loungy kind of vibe.
But I've played Hotel Dusk, but not Last Window, and this but Gio's absolutely right. It captures a feeling of film noir, but without as much danger. Because maybe because in Hotel Dusk you really are sort of interviewing and solving puzzles and investigating, and I don't think there's a single moment of action or violence at all. But it's a very slightly slow paced but very satisfying mystery adventure game where all of the character art looks sort of pencil drawn against a sort of hand painted background, and there aren't really any other adventure games that look and feel quite the same way.
Yeah, I was definitely drawn in when I was sort of looking into it a little bit.
It's satisfying, but it's sad we never got closure for the overarching story of Kyle Hyde. It's really, I don't know. Like, yeah, because like sing close, so we never.
So last window doesn't really resolve it. Oh boy, because
They-
I mean, Hilary, have you played Hotel Dusk?
I haven't had
Okay.
the chance.
Oh, and you love point and click adventures. So
I know.
You really,
I don't know what I'm
really,
doing.
You really ought to get on that. But no, in the first one, well, I mean, one of the subplots is that Kyle Hyde's missing partner is sort of leaving him clues as to his disappearance. But so does last window have like more clues with no closure?
Yeah, there are clues, but unfortunately, he never gets in contact with Bradley ever again.
Oh.
So, yeah,
That is a
spoilers. Yeah,
I wonder if they were leaving room for more games at the time.
I mean, if they didn't resolve it in last window, I think they probably were hoping to make at least a third game.
Well, definitely. One thing I wrote in my notes about this one is that I could definitely picture a location in a point and click adventure game. With this song, just the way it's constructed, it kind of has a charming melody, and I could almost picture some vocals with it. Like it would lend itself well to some vocals potentially. So I don't know. I enjoyed it a lot. It was very smooth.
yeah, I could definitely see the vocals.
And I think wasn't one of my choices on the the cocktail episode was actually a shot of bourbon, but it was because I picked a Western song from West of Loathing.
All right, Hilary, I'm going to mail you my copy of Hotel Dusk, Room 215,
Aw.
so you can so you can get to know Kyle Hyde just as Gio and I have.
It sounds like I need to get to know Kyle Hyde.
Yeah, incidentally, he's like in Smash Ultimate, like as a spirit. Like one of the most baffling inclusions in that game is Kyle Hyde.
Really?
This is the first time hearing it, and consider me baffled. Yep.
He's a spirit in that game. It's crazy.
Gee, I have no words. Like of all the things.
Huh.
I wonder if like someone from the now departed Seeing or Sing found its way to that development team and snuck his character in there.
Aw, I hope so. I like the idea of Kyle Hyde living on. All right. So for our next block, we're moving a little bit more into funk territory with... Looks like we staggered your songs near the beginning, Gio. Looks like you have the next one.
Yeah, I'm happy to get my songs out there first. It's like I like it fresh in the listener's mind. So yeah, I'm bringing this next song is called HAIA or Higher. I think I don't know. In the soundtrack, it's called HAIA, HAIA by this indie group. I can only imagine. I couldn't find much about them. D.T.Construction. It's from the game Moon Remix RPG Adventure.
Excellent. Excited to hear some music from Moon. And then I have the next track, which is the 8-bit big band version of Pollyanna, I Believe in You, from the Mother series.
Yeah, so okay, that was a bit of Moon Remix RPG Adventure. That song HAIA is it's kind of it's like another song that you don't normally hear. You kind of have to purchase the song. Like full disclosure, I haven't played Moon Remix RPG Adventure at least all the way through, but like I've listened to the soundtrack non-trivial amount because the soundtrack is incredible. It's like this collection of uh, it's I mean there's like music that's part of the actual soundtrack, and then they've enlisted like a whole bunch of like Japanese like indie rock, jazz, shibuya groups to compose music for the game. It's not unlike Katamari Damacy. Like it's very similar soundtrack. It's just
Okay.
this whole mishmash of songs, and like I was like I'm not as familiar with funk, so like I kind of had to dig a bit for like a funk song that I thought would be suitable. And like I remember this one because like this one is like one of my favorite songs from Moon Remix RPG Adventure. It's like this uh, filthy funk bass line, and like this I love this aspect of the song, like this little sample of like a vocal, like this vocal sample of like someone warbling, like oh, like I love it. It adds like this weird quirky quality to the song, and like just the beat that just it drones on and on and on, and like oh, I don't know, it's infectious. And it's also emblematic of like the vibe of Moon Remix RPG Adventure, like this really weird off-kilter game. um, yeah, and I think this version of HAIA has never come out like on disc or anything. Like the actual, like there's a different version of this on like albums that they put out, but it's a higher pitched, faster version of the song. And I don't think it's as listenable as this one, which is like the one you hear when you buy the song in the game. And so yeah, it's I definitely recommend, like, actually for it, generally speaking, I would recommend like you if you're interested in listening to Moon Remix RPG Adventure, you should check out the songs as they were heard in the game rather than as they were like later like released like in album form. There, yeah, something about these original versions just hit different, I'd say. It's incredibly funky. I feel like it couldn't have brought anything else.
Yeah, Moon is one of those games that I've read about a lot, but never played, because for a long time it was this sort of legendary PS1 game that I mean it was often described as an anti-RPG, or a game that deliberately plays with the ideas of the genre and sort of but then throws them in your face and does things that would, you could say, genre defying or sort of deliberately subversive. It's inspired by Earthbound and other games, but it is definitely like if RPGs had a freeform jazz version,
Yep.
then Moon would be a freeform jazz RPG. But even though this is the jazz funk episode, this is not a jazzy track. This is raw funk.
This is funk territory. Yep.
Yeah. This might be the rawest song on this entire episode. The bass is so heavy.
Yeah, it comes right into.
Yeah. The horns are very powerful. There's some really filthy saxophone solos in the middle that
Yep.
I was the most the one that stood out to me the most, I think. And then there's some vocal tracks that well, I mean, not a track. There's a vocal piece that it isn't really a melody. It doesn't really have melody or lyrics. It's more just sort of evokes that call and response, like just like a small chorus just going, just like just sort of singing what they feel to match the song.
It's interesting because it kind of reminded me of some of the sort of atonal singing in Shadow Hearts, but just like little samples of it that sort of fit in with the funk. So it's almost kind of playing with some of the expectations of like kind of mysterious singing that you hear in RPGs a little.
Yeah, like it almost sounded like Central Asian, like there was a Bollywood chorus at the very end, but they're really like Moon as a game plays with our ideas about video games and is sometimes deliberately unpleasant in what it's trying to do. But and this song is definitely catchy and great, but it is deliberately slightly atonal or maybe, I mean, cacophonous is probably too strong a word, but like it's deliberately messing with your brain a little bit, but it's undeniably funky, and yeah, this song's great. Thanks for bringing it, Gio.
Yeah, I love how you put that to words. I couldn't have, like, I wish I could have said like it's just like Moon is like deliberately like obtuse and like kind of like abrasive, like it's not really player friendly, and it's just like the song. And so I think I would say cacophonous for the song. It is in many parts of the song very, it's like the horns going wild at certain points, and like, yeah. I just love how you put that.
And because Moon does have a reputation as being player unfriendly but brilliant, is why I haven't played it. Moon was made available to a wide audience with a Switch version. I want to say maybe 7 years ago, something like that. I'd have to double check it. But when that was announced, like people were shocked. Like, wait, this thing is finally getting a port, like 20 years after it came out, and not only a port but a wide release worldwide. And that's fascinating to me because I know this game by reputation, but because its reputation as of this this sort of like abrasive, unpleasant game whose brilliance shines through that. It made me like hesitate to play it. It is on our ideas board of games to play for Retro Encounter.
Oh, excellent!
It's I'm sure both of you know that board very well. You might have seen that up there. But I don't know. Maybe I think this song does have me one step closer to wanting to play it.
Yeah, I think so too. And I found myself kind of like listening for and noting all the like quirky sound effects too as we went through, which was a lot of fun. And I think it's going to pair very, very well with our next piece, which is a little bit less funk, a little more back into the kind of like big band jazz realm, but it has some R&B influences in it as well. It's kind of a good like mash of things, and that is Pollyanna, the 8-bit big band version of Pollyanna from the other series. So as Sollosi mentioned, they are now Grammy winning. The 8-bit big band is a group, I think out of Berkeley originally, of jazz musicians who just also really love video games, and they make arrangements, and they have all sorts of different styles that they do, and I highly recommend checking them out. You're likely to find something that you really enjoy. But I picked this song in particular. I mean, I may have known that Gio picked Moon when I was looking, and I thought it would pair well, but really more than that, I think it's a good reimagining of the song. Like, I think it adds something to the original, which is really important, and it's just a good example of the kinds of music we're talking about today. Like, it has some gospel influences. I don't think it gets much more gospel than the chorus saying, I believe.
Oh no, yeah, no. The vocals here are pure gospel. Yep. Oh yes. But gospel does have a relationship with funk a little bit. Like, even though they're not the same genre at all, like when gospel musicians want to add catchiness or danceability to their, basically there's an overlapping fan base with gospel funk. R&B is already basically gospel funk, isn't it?
Yep.
But yeah, when I listened to this song, I felt like I was listening to a secret lost Earth, Wind, and Fire track or something, because because Earth, Wind, and Fire really does blend. Whoops, they're the opposite of that. They blend a big band sound with a rock sound, with a lot of gospel and funk influence. With their like, you can tell that like Earth, Wind, and Fire and the people here, they learned how to sing in church. You can just tell. Mm-hmm. But yeah, with the bass and drums and piano here, with this gospel-influenced vocals, it is... and the way that that Earth, Wind, and Fire songs all of their songs are either pure positivity anthems or sexy slow jams, and this song just makes you feel happy and make you feel like you want to believe in something.
It's so uplifting.
It is so uplifting. I love this song, and like 8-Bit Big Band does a lot of good work, but I'm not sure I've heard them do a song like this before.
No,
Because it really is funk, gospel, big band rock.
Yep.
And I want a whole album of this.
Me too. I mean, they play around. You know, we're kind of discussing a little bit how like all this music has some common factors, and I mean, you can tell they have an appreciation of all of it because they do typically lean a little bit more toward like traditional jazz sometimes kind of like lounge. Like they have their Porter vocal tracks, which are basically kind of Sinatra style, but yeah, this is a little different for them, and I enjoyed it so much.
Same here. I mean, I think thank you so much, Hilary, because like I think this is my favorite, not only my favorite arrangement of Pollyanna ever, and this is probably also my favorite 8-bit big band song cover
Nice.
ever. It is just glorious. After HAIA, like it just goes down so easily. It's just this triumphant, uplifting gospel song that I don't know. I was in pure bliss listening to it. It's amazing.
It's so easy to get into, and I love how you get the like this sort of a little bit of the call outs and like communication between the musicians and the singer. Like there's a little bit of that on display in the beginning to just like pull you immediately into the song. I love that so much. We're just like, here we go, prepare to be uplifted.
Yeah, and 8-Bit Big Band, they're so diverse. Like they did a samba remix of a different Earthbound song many years ago, and I think their most recent song, or at least in my memory, a week or two ago, they did a Gilbert and Sullivan operetta style version of Scientist Solarian from Mass Effect 2. Which is an unbelievable sentence to say out loud, but they are they're such talented performers and diverse arrangers that they're absolutely worth checking out. And but this song, I don't know, it really just feels like pure positivity to me. Like I feel like I can go and achieve my dreams and can get out of bed and do anything after I hear this song.
This might need to be a new alarm song just to start the day in as positive a way as possible.
I just need a beautiful big band and gospel singer telling me that they believe in me.
Yes. My other kind of secret reason for picking this 8-bit big band song, other than like showing off the versatility, is I was actually there for the premiere of it, which was like super exciting. They premiered it in Boston, I think, maybe a year ago now. And I lost my mind.
No, I know how much you love Earthbound, Hilary. So you like how much did you cry? Is the question to ask.
I didn't cry. Shockingly, I was just kind of in trance the whole time and maybe bouncing around, going. It was so good. And they did 2 Earthbound songs during that set, which was amazing.
Did they do the Samba 4-side theme?
They did do the Samba 4-side.
I love that one. Yeah, that's not as recent as this song, but it's so good.
No, and they almost didn't because they do a great live show, which actually live performance is definitely worth talking about with jazz or funk. But they have a little bit of audience participation where they give 2 options and the louder cheers win. And 4-side was one of those. And I may have screamed my lungs out to get that performed, and it won. So I was really happy.
I'm so happy for you. It's I wouldn't have taken like the Earthbound song would win in any choice between 2 songs, but I guess this one would.
Look, if there's one fan base you should never underestimate, it is Earthbound and all those maniacs at starmen.net.
Yes, it's true.
Because like it is maybe the most dedicated niche RPG fandom that I'm aware of. Release Mother 3.
They have Reggie still joking about releasing Mother 3.
When he did that troll tweet on Mother's Day,
Oh my gosh.
My eyes rolled so hard, I think I dislocated something.
Right. It's almost difficult to really like overanalyze this song at all. It's just it's one of those where I feel like it's almost better to just kind of listen and interpret and enjoy it.
Yeah, I just wanted to put this into my phone and like go skipping around a park on a sunny day listening to this song.
So we're taking a bit of a shift back for our next block. And it looks like I have the next song as well, which is the Schafianski arrangement from his jazz arranged version Final Fantasy IV of Rydia. And then, Sollosi, you have the next track for the next block.
Right. This is my first track on this episode, and it is A City of Another Civilization from the soundtrack to Tales of Xillia. It's a town theme from the second half of the game, and I will avoid spoilers as much as I can.
Great. Let's go listen. So I've always really liked Rydia's theme, and I particularly like this version from Schafianski's jazz arranged version, Final Fantasy IV. I like the whole album. I first, it's one of those things where we were doing Music of the Year, I think a few years ago, and this is one of the kind of arrangement albums that got brought up that I hadn't listened to. So I started and I ended up listening to the whole thing. And Rydia was my favorite track from the album. I love how it's got kind of like a slower, graceful kind of feel. And I particularly like the percussion. I think that really kind of put it over the edge, like when I was thinking of songs from this album to pick, just because there are some percussive elements that you don't hear in a lot of jazz. I mean, sometimes some slower jazz songs, but it's a little bit less common. So I wanted to show that off. And it's just like a really nice melody, and kind of like Tifa's theme, I think it's a good example of the different performers kind of like playing around with that really well-known melody and adding improvisation around it and having that kind of communication and creativity among themselves while playing. So I hope you all enjoyed it.
Yeah, the percussion here is interesting. I think it's mostly just eighth notes. Like
Yep.
it's not hugely elaborate syncopated rhythms or anything.
Exactly,
because it's mostly just like hi-hat, maybe loose cymbals and what sound like bongos.
Yep.
Or maybe it's congas or like high toms or something. But I there's a lot of drums out there. But the fact that like it's just almost this very rhythmic metronome that the piano gets to play around.
Yeah, it's very regular.
Yeah. Again, I think it is literally just eighth notes. But the but really it's about and also I should say that the bass is very pleasant and sort of and low and does and does support the song, but really it's about this piano.
Yep.
It is I think that the actual original melody of Rydia's theme is a little harder to detect here than it was for the arrangement of Tifa's theme that we had earlier.
Yep.
Or certainly Pollyanna, was an extremely melodic arrangement. But so it's a little harder to find the original Rydia's theme here, but it's because the piano is so playful and freewheeling that it really showcases the skill of the performer here. Mm-hmm. But even though I wouldn't say it betrays the original Rydia's theme, although it strays away from Rydia's theme a little bit. It never loses the consistency of the tone of the song. This song is a complete, consistent piece, and it does justice to Rydia's theme, but while being so smooth. This is I think I described HAIA as the rawest song on this episode. This might be the smoothest song on the episode.
It might, yeah. And I think just really, really quickly, what you said reminded me. I think one of the things that I enjoy about it a lot is some of that piano improvisation sort of reminded me of other parts of the Final Fantasy IV soundtrack in a way, kind of like there were some runs that reminded me of kind of like the flowy notes at the beginning of I think it's Triumph Beauty and maybe a little bit of the world theme. I don't know. It almost felt like they kept that kind of consistent tone, and it sort of reminded me of other parts of the soundtrack to fit in with Rydia's theme, which might be a little odd to say, but I don't know.
Yeah, it makes me curious about the rest of the album because, like Sollosi said, like Rydia's theme is very well hidden in this song, and like I wonder how they, I wonder if the other songs in the soundtrack are similar. Like you kind of have to like listen carefully to, hear the original melody.
There's a range. I would say Rydia's theme is one of the more well hidden. I think the Lunarian, like the moon theme, is probably like where the melody is the most hidden, but that's because it's a very kind of like slow, sustained melody as it is. It's one of the less melodic, more atmospheric pieces in the soundtrack, so that one's a little more well hidden. But I think Rydia's is also one of the more well hidden. I think some of the other ones are a little bit more recognizable. And if you want a smooth jazz version of Theme of Love, I think the one on this album will definitely work.
Ooh, I'm gonna check it out for sure. Yeah. And yeah, I also wanted to. I don't know. I like. Well, Sollosi already mentioned it. Like the how regular the beat feels. Like it feels it's crazy how experimental that feels in like in this genre where we normally have like syncopated rhythms and stuff. Like and now we just have like a straight up eight, you know, uh, just a regular 4/4 beat.
Mhm.
I don't know. It's very interesting, and
Yeah.
I like it quite a lot.
It's interesting how kind of a lot of the improvisation and things are happening around that very regular beat.
Oh yeah. Like I feel like the drums are a metronome for this piano to go absolutely wild.
Yep.
But I guess speaking of jazz piano, City of Another Civilization in Tales of Xillia is the theme for the city of Tracklist in the second half of the game, maybe the last quarter of the game, really. But and it resembles, it represents a total tonal shift in the game. Minor spoilers about Tales of Xillia, which had two very fine episodes of Retro Encounters, of Retro Encounter podcast last year. At a certain point, what you believe has been a sort of medieval fantasy world gets you discover another civilization, and again, this song is called "A City of Another Civilization." And when you visit that other civilization, it is in a dying world that's been stripped of its natural resources, but there's one sort of last high tech city, like oasis of a city here. And so this song is people from a somewhat low-tech civilization visiting a high-tech world for the first time. And again, it's a little bit more complicated than that, but I don't want to spoil too much of Tales of Xillia. But this song is like a, it's a metropolis of like concrete and steel that but also communicates sort of a, like I don't know, like a peacefulness or a gentleness that is not present in the rest of the world of this game. Like the outside the city, it is harsh and dangerous, but inside the city, it is like it's almost like elevator music, but the department store that you're in is strange and different, and the characters don't know how to react. But I really like Tales of Xillia, but the game does have a shift in tone when they visit Triglyph for the first time, and I think it has a shift in tone musically too, because this is really the only jazz song in Tales of Xillia, and Motoi Sakuraba is not known for his jazz pieces necessarily. So like for him to and if anything, he's accused of being sort of too generic or too
I was going to mention that, yeah.
So this is like, I feel like maybe Motoi Sakuraba, kind of like how the guys in Led Zeppelin all secretly wanted to be blues musicians. I wonder if Motoi Sakuraba just all this time wanted to be a jazz piano player, and this is him enacting out his jazz fantasies.
It's like, I want some jazz piano.
Right. I would just say like the song is like the ultimate rebuke to that accusation towards Sakuraba. It's brilliant. Like actually, like the way you explained it, like how this song is like the like it's like the characters visiting like the remnants of this dying high-tech civilization. Like you could hear that in the music, like the way like a bit midway through the song, like a synthesizer kicks in, like in like low in the mix, and like it's I've never heard anything like it before. Like the synthesizer like playing along with the piano, and it's like you could tell like it's like the high-tech nature of the environment is there, but like it's like kind of like it's fading away, and it's you can hear it in the music. It's just it's a nice touch by Sakuraba.
Yeah, and it's kind of interesting. I did sort of look at some of the comments and things along with this song because I was curious about the context. I am not overly well versed in the Tales series, so I looked into it, and it was interesting to read some of the comments and try and kind of parse out like their reaction to the music versus the tonal shift in the game, because a lot of people were saying, like, oh, this is such a great way to, this is like the best music in the game. Like, it's different and it conveys that change really well. And then there were a couple people who were like, this is confusing. Why is this jazz? I don't like it.
Well, I mean, the Tales soundtracks do run together for me a little bit. I've played a bunch of Tales games, probably 7 or 8 of them, and outside of a couple really key, super recognizable ones like the battle themes in Tales of Fantasia and Symphonia, which are often remixes of each other. I think their soundtracks do run together a little bit, but this one is so different, and I think it's a deliberate choice to have a change in genre here. That it is, I think, the most memorable song in the Tales of Xillia soundtrack, which I would call better than average for Tales of. But it's a great game, great song, and I really like how the tonal shift is represented multiple ways in this location in the game.
Yeah, it definitely piqued my curiosity, not knowing the series that well. I saw that it was a city theme, and I was kind of trying to picture exactly the context. And I think the song does a really good job of kind of conveying a little bit of the unfamiliarity, because one of the things I sort of picked up on was a little hint of, this isn't the usual for the characters probably. And I may have guessed that because, it is a big genre shift. So maybe that's why I kind of figured they were probably trying to convey that. But I don't know. It's an interesting change, and it's really neat to hear Sakuraba doing jazz piano. I enjoyed it a lot.
Yeah, it's absolutely a game worth playing, and I think that it needs to be freed from its PS3 prison. Please give us some kind of Tales collection, Namco, please. More people need to see how glorious Mila's hair is in HD.
I've always found her voice really funny, because her voice is you wouldn't really expect it from her. It's this middle-aged woman voice, but she looks young. I don't know. I just find it funny. It's having not played Xillia, I just that's how I recognize this game.
She's an odd character because she lived an incredibly sheltered life, and exploring the world for the first time, she's learning a lot. But in Triglyph, it's almost like every character is the naive stranger in a strange land instead of just Mila.
That's so interesting. Oh, I gotta play it. I have it.
It's a good one. I've played several Tales games, and I think Xillia is one of the better ones.
Have you played the second one?
I have not. I enjoyed the first one so much, I bought the second one. I ran out to my favorite game store, Starland, and found a copy of Xillia 2, but I have not played it yet.
Okay, if you ever do a retro encounter episode, I might sign on. I might join that.
Well, we did a retro encounter episode on the first one, but not the second one. All I know about the second one is that there's a whole debt repayment element to the plot, and that there's a really, really excellent cat in it.
Oh, perfect.
It's the crushing pressure of debt and a wonderful cat.
Help take the edge off.
But you know what's another really good RPG cat, Hilary, is Morgana from Persona 5.
Yeah,
debatable.
And that brings us into our next block. I think. Let's see. I think first we have to get into a sophisticated fight.
Oh, okay. All right. I can do that. I am neither sophisticated nor a fighter, but I do enjoy this song. From Sora no Kiseki, Sophisticated Fight is the battle theme from Trails in the Sky 1, and this is the Zanmai arrangement of that song. Right. From an album called Sora no Kiseki Zanmai.
Excellent. And yep, surprise, we have not had Last Surprise from Persona 5 on the show yet, and I thought it fit in beautifully here, so that is my choice for this block. And then rounding out our lineup today is your other choice.
Right. The final track on this block, we're doing a block of 3 this time, is my choice for the funkiest Yakuza song, Be the Star from Yakuza 5.
Excellent. All right, let's go get down.
Okay, in the words of George Clinton, style is whatever you want to do if you do it with confidence.
There we go.
Don't you know what you're starting? But you sure we got the clue how bad this we go. Don't you know? No more art. And as you look to the horizon, not a cloud, but then stormy winds go too cold. Seems like it crept up out of nowhere, all around you is not what you foretold. You never see it coming. You see that my mind is too fast for eyes. You're done, but
Right. So, Sophisticated Fight is the main battle theme from Trails in the Sky, and which was started out as a PSP game in the mid 2000s and was not released worldwide until 2011, I think. But from the moment I played the first Trails in the Sky, I was invested, and I slowly started playing more Trails games over the years. I think I'm 5 games deep now, which means I'm at around a half Caitlin, maybe. But the Zanmai remix album is a remix of songs from the first 3 Trails games, and this is the remix of Sophisticated Fight. And Sophisticated Fight is already a pretty jazzy song. It has but it's a much more low key. The original is more low key than this version. It has it has vibraphone and piano and is sort of a surprisingly jazzy battle theme, but this version is a little bit rougher, a little bit funkier. It's like you're changing brands of peanut butter from smooth to crunchy when you go to this album, because there's heavier guitar. The drums are much louder. There's more horns, and it's a bit of a big band sound actually, with like the big band with funk elements, when the original was sort of more small ensemble and had more strings and was not as loud or brassy. But I love this arrangement. The entire album is fun, but it basically turns a jazzy song into sort of a more energetic funk rock song.
That's so interesting that that's the case, because I was listening to the solo at around like a minute 15, and I was thinking that it almost sounds kind of like Hammond organish, and then you mentioned like vibraphone in the original, so that's definitely kind of a little bit of a like jazz to funk transition.
Personally, I've always felt like the original version was missing something, and now I know what it was missing was like guitars.
It was slap bass and funk rhythm guitar.
This song is like easily now my favorite version of the song I've heard. Like the original it kind of got old for me after a while. It's like it's why I've never finished Trails in the Sky, because like I don't know, something about this song kind of makes me want to sleep. The original version for some reason, but this one is just full of energy, and it's just much more interesting to listen to. It's just much more layered, more instruments. Yeah, very much enjoyed this version.
I actually think this was my introduction to JDK Band, which was really neat. So I guess they specialize in kind of doing those sorts of arrangements of Falcom music. Which is neat.
One of my favorite remix songs of all time is the JDK Band version of "Dreaming" from the original East, from the first East game, but like Sound Team JDK. I think if you haven't played a bunch of Falcom, you associate them with only like screaming rock guitar interlaced with violin solos. but they are quite broad musically, and their output is incredible. Like with a full album like almost every year, and then a remix album every 3 years or so. It's Falcom in general is you can tell it's a developer that really sort of respects the music of video games, and their output has been awesome. And I love the Trails in the Sky trilogy, and I think the entire Zanmai album is worth listening to. But this is I feel a more fun version of Sophisticated Fight, which I've listened to a lot, Gio, as you have. Maybe even more in Trails in the Sky 2, because that game's like twice as long as the first one.
Oh no, they bring it back. Oh no.
I'm pretty sure they do. It's possible I tuned it out, but it's a I could be misremembering that, but so Trails in the Sky 2 is set in a lot of the same places as Trails in the Sky 1. So yeah, if you were sick of just cycling around to 5 different towns in Trails in the Sky 1, guess what? You do it again in the second one. but I really like those games, and this is my favorite arrangement of what I feel is a pretty good main battle theme.
Yeah, I want to clarify. It's a good song. I guess I just got tired of it. Unlike the next song on this album, on this sorry, unlike the next song in this podcast, which is like a song you can just listen to over and over without ever getting tired of it. In my opinion.
I'm incredibly shocked that we did not have Last Surprise on Rhythm before. So when I saw that, I had to bring it. It's incredibly catchy. I think it is. You hear it very, very, very frequently, but it's pretty hard to get sick of, I would say. And it's a good I know I wanted some of Lynn's vocals on this episode because I really like her as a vocalist, and this was a good, upbeat, funky, determined kind of song.
Okay, all right. I'm gonna say it if no one else is going to. I never saw it coming.
Never saw it coming.
It's Lynn. The timbre of Lynn's voice is so unique. Like I almost don't think of a Japanese vocalist having this kind of soul in it. It's she feels. I mean, I'm not the most experienced in Japanese singers, but her voice really does feel unique to me, and is one of the defining components of Persona 5. The acid jazz soundtrack, and Lynn's voice in most of the key songs. I absolutely adore Rivers in the Desert, and oh my god, what's the lead up to the heist song in the last segment of oh my god, why can't I think of it?
Oh, let me see.
Oh my god, it's killing me. Life Will Change.
Life Will Change. Yep.
Yeah. Like when I think of Persona 5, Last Surprise, Life Will Change, Rivers in the Desert, Lynn's voice is absolutely crucial to me. And also I love how because this is the random battle song for most of Persona 5, how the strings at the beginning are almost a perfect match with the splash of transitioning to a random battle.
Oh yeah, that was beautiful.
And also like after after you win, the way that it sort of transitions to your the camera panning quickly past your characters and then running on to the next battle with the victory music playing. Like
those were so beautifully timed.
Yeah. They really thought of how the gameplay and the visuals will match the elements of every song when they were planning out and designing Persona 5. And Last Surprise, great battle theme, smartly integrated with the visual flares and the gameplay elements. And Lynn's voice is just absolutely magical. Persona 5 is a special video game for many reasons, and it's I don't know, like maybe for some it's a problematic fave, but I have no problem enjoying the soundtrack.
Same.
And I think it's a good, like you were giving us that great quote kind of about confidence earlier, and I think that's goes perfectly with Persona 5 and the idea of like being a phantom thief, and this battle theme is definitely all about confidence, right?
Oh yeah, like it's one thing about Persona 5 that I think is sort of funny. It's the main character is really a Clark Kent ass dude.
Yep.
He looked with the floppy hair and glasses. He looks so non-threatening. But then when he slicks his hair back a little bit and puts on the mask, he is suddenly the coolest dude in the room.
It's true.
And
this song just
so when the main character, I guess Akira is his official name. Like when Akira becomes Joker, it's a Clark Kent to Superman moment, and it really is just an injection of confidence. And just like George Clinton said, like as long as you do it with confidence, you can like as style as anything you want to be. So Persona 5, a very confident, stylish game. I think that's undeniable.
I wonder where they found Lynn. Like I wonder like how they tracked her down, because like she really made this soundtrack.
And the crazy thing is like I don't know what her career is like, but she just does not sound like a Japanese pop star. It's like. I mean, of course she's a Japanese singer, like that's like I mean obviously, but that's at the top of her Wikipedia page. But I don't know of any other singer like this. Her voice is so remarkable and a perfect choice for Persona 5.
Her voice is one of the, like you said, defining characteristics of the soundtrack. And I think that's kind of another reason I wanted to bring her into the equation, is just to kind of mention about how, we probably think of jazz and funk as more American, but it's really neat to see how it's been reinterpreted and how, JRPGs are incorporating it.
Yeah, I am always a proponent of more funk and R&B in video games, because it's not the most well represented genre. I mean, I think most of the tracks in this episode are remixes, but for Persona 5 to totally embrace acid jazz and elements of funk and jazz is a total delight. Like, it's not surprising that we've had a bunch of Persona 5 songs in previous episodes of Rhythm Encounter, but Last Surprise is surprising that it hasn't shown up before.
Right. So thank you, Shoji Meguro.
Shoji Meguro, now that guy is a star.
Yeah, it's true. He'll always be the star.
Yeah, so okay. The last song in this block is "Be the Star" from Yakuza 5. I could bloviate about what Yakuza 5 is for an entire episode on my own, but I will spare you, I promise. But I do need to explain a little bit. Part of the middle chapters of Yakuza 5 are of the character Haruka trying to become a pop star. Like she's discovered in the tiny orphanage where she lives, and is taken to Osaka to undergo tough dance training and voice training to be a superstar idol. And so these middle chapters are about her journey to do that, and it's a wild tonal shift from the rest of the game, which is like intense crime stories, car chases, shootouts. There's a prison break in the chapter in the chapter right before Haruka's chapters, and it takes place in 5 different Japanese cities, and Haruka's stuff is in Osaka, which is the Sotenbori neighborhood from Yakuza 2. But Haruka's not a fighter, even though the other 4 main characters of Yakuza 5 are martial artists. So all of her gameplay is rhythm games. We had a different Yakuza 5 song, So Much More, a couple episodes ago. It was in the Yakuza episode, actually, that Jono, Gio, and I did together. And that song plays during the pop performance minigame, or the pop concert minigames. But she also has voice training minigames, and dance battle minigames, and a Japanese comedy minigame that I never fully understood. But Be the Star is one of the songs from the dance battle minigames, where to improve her dance skills, she goes out into the streets of Sotenbori and challenges street dancers to contests. So it's a slightly different minigame than the pop concert minigame, but it's very fun. There's 4 or 5 songs that you play for that one, and by far my favorite was this one, which is I think it's called the rock. I think it's they call the genre of it rock, but really it's Japanese pop with a lot of funk influence, because especially with those very confident drums at the beginning, the slap bass throughout, the horns, the call and response vocals. When they ask me, can I handle it? I'm not sure I can handle it.
If I remember it, is this the one with where you dance against the grandma? I don't know.
Okay. One of the side quests is you do challenge a dancing grandma as Akiyama. But I'm not sure this is the song that plays for that one. I'd have to watch a video or something. But yes, one of the things you can do in Yakuza 5 Sotenbori is challenge a dancing grandma.
Oh my gosh.
I'm saying, the Yakuza games are all crazy, but Yakuza 5 might be the craziest one. It's sort of it's just the most Yakuza of any Yakuza game, which is why it's one of my favorites. I think I might rate Yakuza 5 more highly than a lot of the other fans do. I think it's probably in my series top 3.
It's like the Dragon Quest 7 Yakuza.
Yes. Dragon Quest 7 is not the best Dragon Quest, but it's the most Dragon Quest. And Yakuza 5 is maybe not the best Yakuza, but it's the most Yakuza.
It's the most Yakuza.
Yeah.
Even when you're training to be an idol.
Yeah, it's like in back-to-back chapters. It's like, okay, here is the taxi driver drift racing storyline, and here is the learning to survive in the wilderness and hunt bears storyline, and here's the I want to be the biggest pop star in Japan storyline, and they are literally back-to-back. So yeah, it's very the most Yakuza.
What more could you want?
How about a disgraced baseball player trying to take his local team to the Nationals?
Oh, dang.
Yeah.
You're laughing, but you know I'm right.
That's impressive.
Oh, this game is so bonkers.
Yeah, it is. I want to go back to it. It's been a while, but like, yeah, this song I associate it with just pure comedic genius on RGG Studios' part. Like, when this song first came on, I remember just laughing my ass off. Like, this is just Akiyama breaking out like those finger points that you do like in disco or something, and like it's hilarious.
Yeah. You can do the dance battles as Akiyama or Haruka, but I think for Haruka she can sort of challenge anybody. But Akiyama only gets a couple in storylines, like the dancing grandma sub story. But the dance animations are priceless. They are fantastic.
Wow, so you can use more than one character.
Yeah. The Haruka chapters are mostly Haruka, but you also have the character Akiyama visiting there because Kiryu asked Akiyama if he could chaperone Haruka a little bit because Kiryu's not going to be around to protect her.
Ah, okay. Yeah, this song is just like, it's so infectious. It's so good. It's hard to stay still.
Yeah. Funk is about songs that'll get your body moving, and this is extremely danceable.
Yeah.
Which I guess is why they chose to incorporate it in the dance battle minigame.
Well, it certainly does its job. Well, I appreciate everyone's picks. There are so many fun and delightful songs here today, and I think we got some wide representation from a lot of different games and just musical, range as well. So we've got, let's see, we've got a bonus track, which I'll say more about in a minute. But first, if everybody's ready, let me first ask any final thoughts about the songs that we've heard today, or kind of jazz, funk, those sorts of songs in RPGs.
I talked about this earlier, but jazz and funk are genres that almost defy themselves. Like funk is any music that'll get your body moving, and jazz is any music that embraces freedom and chaos within a few sets of rules. And as such, I think that they are extremely just fun genres that can span a huge range of soundscapes and even melt into other genres very easily. So I think it's fitting that we had such a diverse group of songs that maybe don't seem like they would fit against each other or fit on the same episode, but nevertheless they do, because like jazz and funk are just what's in your heart.
For me personally, like jazz and funk fit or have two different functions or like associations in my brain. Like I listen to jazz to relax, and I listen to funk if I want to be energized, if I want to groove, and like it's nice that we found like so many connections between these two genres, and like how it goes deeper than like the similar instrumentation, and it's also like this spirit, like this basically what Sollosi said. I agree with everything Sollosi said.
This episode just really makes me want more of any of this type of music in games. Like it got me thinking about how all of these are very kind of, it sounds like memorable moments from the games they come from. So I'm kind of hopeful that maybe more developers, and more teams will think about incorporating some of these genres to reflect what's going on in the games.
If there is a single genre I wish was more present in video games, it probably would be funk. And that maybe, which is why I was so overjoyed when like Street Fighter 6 had a lot of funk tracks in it, or had a couple funky tracks in it for example. And I was so excited to sign up for this episode. Like it was I probably could have done a non-track episode just by myself. I enjoy hearing jazz and funk, especially funk, in RPGs so much. So thank you so much for setting this episode up for Hilary and hosting it, and allowing us to celebrate two genres that we love so much.
Yeah, thank you all for being here and celebrating it with me. It's been a lot of fun. All right, so before we get to our bonus, I will do a little bit of housekeeping. So games that made their debut today on Rhythm. Gio, you're the star here because those games are Moon and Last Window Secret of Cape West. Also notable, Final Fantasy IV has a surprisingly low number of times it's been on Rhythm. I think it's only been on like a couple times.
And this is only the second time that we've had a Yakuza 5 song on Rhythm Encounter, but both times it's been like Haruka's musical chapters.
Huh. That's neat.
If you have me on episodes of Rhythm Encounter, I'll always find a way to sneak in my silly Sollosi games like Monster Hunter or Yakuza in. Like I only can really bring songs from games that I know and love, but Yakuza is among them.
I'm really glad you brought that today. Coming next for Rhythm, we've got an episode on Dragon Quest, and we have an interview episode with Cara Comparetto. So if you like piano, that is definitely an episode to look forward to.
And speaking about games I know and love, Dragon Quest, not the best musical reputation among RPGs, but we definitely had enough to make a killer episode.
I'm really excited to hear it. If you'd like to get in touch with us, you can email us at music@rpgfan.com. And let's go ahead and give, our contact info as well. The best way to reach me is hilary@rpgfan.com through email. And how about you, Gio?
Yeah, you can find me. You can find me on Discord. I'm Gio, although they changed the way Discord works, so you won't find me by my username. I think my display name is still Gio, so hopefully you can still find me on the RPG Fan Discord that way. Or if not, you can email me at gio@rpgfan.com.
All right. How about you, Sollosi?
Right. If you want to find me online, the easiest way to do so is Twitter. I am at The Real Monsoon most of the time, at Evoker for Dogs at other times, and on RPG Fans Discord, I am Monsoon Mike.
Great. Aside from Rhythm, we have two other fantastic podcasts. We have Random Encounter, which covers, recent games, recent happenings, and sometimes our recent reviews and things we've played. So be sure to listen to that. And Retro Encounter, which is a fun mix of game journals and other topics. And at the moment, they are between, at the time of this recording, they are between episodes of Final Fantasy VI.
Oh yeah, that old indie darling that hardly anyone's played, Final Fantasy VI.
Yes.
I'm not on those episodes, but they did find an RPG fan in their 30s who had never played Final Fantasy VI. So I'm extremely eager to see how they turn out.
Yeah, those will be fun episodes to listen to. All right. And in addition to the podcasts, I encourage everyone to check out the site itself, check out our social media, Twitch, our shop, all of those things. We, cover a variety of bases with the site, and it's all good stuff. So be sure to check all of those things out. And we also appreciate reviews on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, your whatever podcast platform you prefer. Those subscriptions and reviews and things like that really do help us to keep making fun, high quality podcasts for all of you. So please consider doing that. And I think with all that said, it's time for a bonus track. So would you like to introduce that, Sollosi?
Of course I would. Now, we're breaking the rules here a little bit, because what are jazz and funk but breaking the rules of our or other musical conventions? But before we recorded, Gio and I discovered a mutual love of the game Guitar Man, which is an extremely insane music game for the PlayStation 2. It had a PSP port later about a boy named Yuichi or U1 that transforms into a musical superhero. And basically every boss fight is battling a monster representing a different genre of music. And there is a funk boss in Gitaru Man. So we decided that, like, for the final boss of this episode, we could bring in that funky boss from Gitaru Man. The boss's name is Mojo King B, but the song is called B Jam Blues. So please enjoy B Jam Blues from Gitaru Man, and feel the funk inside your soul.
Yep. We hope this episode has left you feeling funky, jazzy, and that all of you out there are having a good day, night, whenever you're listening to this. And thank you.
You know, Gio mentioned earlier that jazz can calm you down and funk can get you excited. So maybe this episode was just confusing.
Take what you need from it.
Bye, everybody.
All right. Thanks. Bye, everyone.
Everybody, there's a new king in town. Get ready. Mojo, Mojo, Mojo King, baby!
Pollyanna, I Believe in You from the Mother series.
The Grammy award-winning 8-bit big band series.
Yeah, isn't that wild?
Yeah, it's only they were only something like the third or fourth video game song to win a Grammy, and before they created the dedicated video game Grammy category. The very first one of those was over a decade ago, with Christopher Tin winning for a song from Civilization 4.
Right. Yes, I remember that.
Baba Yetu, one of the best video game songs of all time, and I will no notes. I'll take my answer off the air.